ain't a big shot unless we talking about hip-hop. Bad at TikTok, but I'll make movies like Hitchcock. Challenge Mitch, you'll barely make it like trick shots. Check your wristwatch, it's time for you all to quit. Stop trying me.
Yo, what up, everybody? This is Sick Darrell. This is Sick. Okay. Yo, what up, everybody? This is Mitch Darrell. I sound crazy because I've been sick for the last 5 days, which stinks because I've really been wanting to do videos and record and do stuff, but I sounded even crazier a few days ago. Now I sound just a little weird, and I really wanted to make a video instead of doing nothing over the last several days. So here I am. So sorry if I sound a little weird, a little congested. It's been crazy, but we're gonna power through. This is gonna be my flu game, even though I don't have the flu. And this is gonna be kind of short, but hopefully you guys appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. So before we get into it, I always forget to do this because I don't know, it feels so robotic. But like, if y'all could like and subscribe and like ring the bell and all that, I would appreciate that. I'm not gonna keep nagging you about it. If you want to do it, you can. If you don't want to, whatever. You're here watching at this point, so I'll take it. Okay, so getting right into it. A few days ago, Rapzilla, they released an article. Actually, shout out to Cal Hackett. He is the author of this article. Article is titled 5 Christian Rap Adjacent Artists Paving Their Own Lane. And I thought that was dope. That caught my eye immediately because I use that term. I didn't know if it was official, but Christian Rap Adjacent is a term I use a lot, kind of jokingly, but also seriously. And so I will go ahead and read the beginning of this article. It says, there are a ton of artists doing Christian rap. There are also a bunch who got their start in CHH or working with artists in it. They are believers for one reason, but for one reason or another, their calling was not ministering through music. There is nothing wrong with this. And he says, if you check out Derek Minor or Andy Mineo album and see some names you haven't heard of, they may not have some explicit tracks or reach the God per minute quota. This is why. So I'll go ahead and name the ones that he wrote about is Foggy Raw, Eric Huron, Caleb Mitchell, Jude Barclay, and Staringo. So, and I'm familiar with all of them. And so while I think the article is well written, I wanted to kind of expound upon what CHH Adjacent means to me and what I think it means, and kind of why people go that route. And, you know, if it's better to go that way, what the drawbacks are, etc. So to me, CHH Adjacent is people who either started in CHH, were around CHH, people worked with people who are in CHH for however, you know, maybe were covered by Rapzilla for a little bit for a shorter period of time and have decided they don't want to explicitly be known as CHH artists. They're not necessarily in the Christian hip hop genre themselves, but that does not mean that they don't have a goal of ministering through their music, if that makes sense. That's the only thing I disagreed with in that. It may not be, he mentioned kind of passingly the God per minute quota. They may not necessarily sound as churchy, maybe is a word, or just directly preachy, but that doesn't mean they don't have the goal of bringing people to God with their music or through their music or sharing that. So most of the artists are Christians, whether they've said it before in songs, their worldview, social media. It's something that's known, but not every song is necessarily going to be Jesus this or God this. And then every once in a while, maybe some of these artists, you might see an explicit tag because they might use the N-word or use language that might not necessarily pass the CHH test, if that makes sense. And I'll say I'm a fan of a lot of CHH adjacent artists. I don't see it as a negative thing at all. I actually think it's smart in some ways. And the number one reason I think artists do this, and I've talked about this before, is they don't want to deal with the negative that comes with not only boxing yourself in as one thing, saying I'm CHH, whether that's good or bad to you, I'm CHH, you are now stuck in that box. But also the community is so small and so kind of niche that if you don't fit a specific mold per se, let's say maybe if you don't sound exactly like how Lecrae sounds or like a typical maybe Reach Records artist, you might get shunned or told you're doing it wrong or chastised or yelled at in the comments. I've seen it. So why be like, oh, I'm gonna force myself to be in this box, even though I don't fit in that box. And Foggy Raw, I think, is a great example of that because he is so different. He loves God. You can tell he says it in his music. He might use words every once in a while that maybe aren't not all Christians love, maybe. But his message doesn't change. I feel like he still has the goal of preaching God in his music, but he also just likes to have fun and be himself. And he doesn't necessarily fit the CHH box, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to be like, I'm Christian hip hop, but I'm not what you expect from Christian hip hop. So you might hate me, you might dislike me. Caleb Mitchell, another perfect example of that. And so what's funny is you also see I don't know if it's a correlation, but a lot of the CHH adjacent guys find more success than the average CHH artist. And I think part of that is because they're not boxing themselves in. Caleb Mitchell's a great example. He's a very successful artist on a higher level. Toby Nwigwe and NF is like the ultimate example of that, right? So he was associated with CHH. He was in the community, and kind of started to take off, find more success. And he does not fit that typical Christian hip hop cookie cutter mold. So it doesn't make sense for him to just stick and say, I'm CHH, and box himself in like that when he can reach a ton of different people. So I feel like these guys oftentimes get, criticized or, I don't know, kind of almost bullied by the CHH community by saying like, oh, why are you not CHH? Why are you just a Christian who raps? But it's like, realistically, these are the people that have the ability to reach those outside of our bubble, which is Christians and the church and Christianity and CHH, and actually reach those who need it and haven't heard it, right? If somebody finds a dope rapper who they don't even know is a Christian at first, and they're just like, who's that dope rapper, like spitting? And then they find out, oh, and he's saying something. What is he saying? Oh, he's a Christian. Oh, this is how he lives his life. This is how he's just successful and he's still talking about God. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me has a much better chance of actually, the Great Commission, like preaching the word and bringing people to us instead of, oh, we're just going to preach to the choir. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's interesting. A lot of us Christian hip hop artists when we're younger, earlier on starting, try to decide, do we want to be Christian hip hop? Is this what we want to do? Or do we maybe want to go a different route? I know I've struggled with that a lot. I have kind of told myself over the last maybe year, Christian hip hop is where I think I belong. That doesn't mean I don't necessarily have the goal of maybe reaching other audiences or branching out, but I feel like I want to be helpful to this specific subgenre. And I feel like this is my place, but I have nothing against anybody who doesn't feel that way. And I get all the reasons to not be in it. So, shout out to the CHH adjacent guys. I don't think that it means that you don't love God. I don't think it means that you don't have the goal of bringing people to God with your music. You just go a different way about it. And honestly, I feel like it can be more effective in some ways. So, go listen to Foggy Raw. Go listen to Caleb Mitchell. Go listen to Toby. Go listen to NF. They're all Christians. We're on the same team. And they make dope music. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate you guys. Sorry for, thanks for bearing with me. Hopefully my voice and nose and everything go back to normal. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.